Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to our interview with the Gapadka team, also known as the Google Play Developer Console Preview team. Today we're joined in our lovely hangout little room here with Ricardo and Max and Ellie and Pierre. Slightly awkward moment as I realize I don't know Pierre's name. And of course we're here to discuss the brand new Google Play Developer Console Preview, which hopefully you've had a good chance to try out, to see the new features through the awesome new UI. I'll leave you in the capable hands of Max, I think, to start with, who's going to run through some demos for us of all the new features.
Yeah, so really quickly, before we jump into demos, I guess wanted to just make sure you all know why we built the new developer console. Big reasons we've gotten from it was, you guys are using the developer console more and more to update your applications. You're really growing your businesses, and we had a bunch of features we want to be able to add in the future, and we wanted to give you a great user experience. So that was the motivation for doing it. And so this year at Google I/O we announced and demoed the new developer console, and then last week you all got access, as Richard mentioned. So we wanted to say that what we have here is a preview. It's not totally done yet. I'm sure many of you have found things that you'd like to see improved before we consider it done, and there are a couple features we haven't released yet. But we also hope that you'll see this as kind of a foundation and a platform for more things to come. So we really welcome all of your feedback about how we can continue to improve it. So Max is going to walk us through what we have in the preview today.
Cool. Richard, is my screen... Can we make my screen visible for everyone?
Of course we can.
Perfect. Here we go. You may remember the demo at the Google I/O, so you may remember this app. So basically, that's the start page if you arrive on the new page, and you see here the handy developer guide, which got published during the demo at Google I/O. So yeah, you start with the store listing with the most important information about your app. What interesting is with the new page, we now support up to 49 localized information. So for instance, let's try to add some German to that app. We still call it the Handy Developer Guide. And you can add description. And so on and so forth. We can save and publish try. We guess we should get an error for that. You see, we also try to give you way better information if you do something wrong, what you do wrong, what you should do to fix that. But let's see. Let's fix it. What is the... Okay.
It's not a very interesting app, is it? So one of the other things that you'll notice, like Max mentioned, is you have up to 49 languages, which is a lot more than we had before. We have some languages like UK, English, and Turkish that we didn't have before. And another thing that you'll also notice is kind of an invisible feature. For listings where you don't provide a manual translation or a human translation, we'll create an automated translation using Google Translate behind the scenes. And then users who are encountering your store listing, if it's not in their native language, once you've saved it in the new developer console, they'll actually see a button allowing them to view an automated translation. So just to be clear, the automated translations are generated by Google Translate, and so they're obviously not going to be as good as having a native speaker of German like Max creating the translation. But until such time as you're able to, get the services of a professional translator, they certainly will go a long way. And you don't have to do anything to make the automated translations happen. Once you've saved your app in the new developer console, they'll happen behind the scenes, and you can go ahead and update the default language as often as you want, and the automated translations will update automatically. This is a change from the old developer console where you used to have to select a manual or an automated translation for each language where you wanted one, and then they didn't update properly. So here it all happens behind the scenes as soon as you've saved your app in the new console.
We see usually German is too long, so we leave it with the original title. Okay. we saved these changes. Let's have a look into the
I
other.
think you have to click again.
I have to click that, obviously.
And you get the little running Android. Which
Yeah,
is
the running
Oh,
Android
yeah,
is
the
one of the
running
best
Android.
best parts of the new app.
I think that was the most popular feature with our developer relations team. Actually. They like the running
Absolutely.
Android.
We love it.
Some kind of progress is always nice, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
true.
Something
That's
going
true,
on?
Yeah.
And it's
No.
just cute. I think it's cute.
It's cute.
So yeah, the list of countries where you can publish your app. Obviously, if you have a paid app, you see and can set the prices here. This app has no in-app products. Let's look into the APK screen. Again, we try to give you as much information as we can give you on that page. You see like the supported devices. I think this is a great way to go to through the devices to see what is where your app is working on or where not, or if you even want to exclude devices because there are certain handsets which you have where you have problems. You can add that here as well. And obviously, if you have an update, you can upload new APK here, and you see the changes. So, for instance, we have now localized information for German in the app, which gives you, sometimes you may have like it's I think also pretty good here because you may unfortunately use the wrong APK to upload or something like that, and you get immediately like the information what changed. So yeah, we want to just give you as much as information as we can give you to prevent any mistakes from your side. Let's have a look into statistics. Same statistics. We will see some more on a different tab soon. We have all of these different dimensions. If you're ever in doubt what it exactly means, there's the handy tooltip to give you details about the differences between active and total devices and users. I think once you get used to it, you know what it means, and it's just again like great. We want to give you. Can't just repeat myself as much as information, and we will let the decision for you to what you actually want to or how you want to use it. The new crashes overview is also pretty cool. Yeah, we are already on any time. So you have a bunch of filters, and you can go through the stack traces, and you also might not that visible on the last reported here on that part. If you can see the mouse pointer, we also jump through the details of everything.
Yes,
And-
this is when I forgot that grid layout didn't exist in older versions. That was a good
Happens.
lesson for me.
Happens. and as well the user messages to what the hopefully they will give you useful information like how it exactly happened. Let's jump into one of Rich's apps where we have pretty cool ratings because it's an awesome app, obviously.
Ultimate stopwatch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah,
trending
that's a
up.
new dimension which we just recently added. Ricardo, maybe you can say a bit more about that.
Yeah, we use it to display basically how your ratings have evolved over time, because often that's an interesting metric to keep track of to measure user satisfaction. And we offer you basically two new metrics. One is the cumulative average rating, and it tells you basically the average over all the ratings that your application has gathered over time. And this is exactly what you see also in the storefront on play.google.com of the actual rating that the user have given you. And so basically the last point in the chart that says that we have a rating of 4.35 should match what you see on the storefront about the rating that your app currently has. The extra information that you get here, in addition to the history over time of this rating, is the breakdown by all the usual dimensions that you're already used to from the other metrics that we offer. So for example, you could see by, how the rating is divided by device, and you can see maybe that some devices get, users from given devices give you a lower rating than other users. And maybe this is indicative that you have not optimized your application for a given device. Maybe it uses a different screen size and you have not really optimized for that, so the user experience is less optimal. By language as well, maybe you have not optimized your application for a given language, you have not localized, so your user rated poorly. And another interesting one is by application version, because you can see by rolling out a new version whether people like it more or not. And maybe you roll out a new version is not as good as you thought, and you want to do some fixes and change it again. If the cumulative average rating over time provides a too broad metric, because it accumulates all the rating even from past versions, even from previous, if you have been out for a long time, previous months, previous years, then you can switch to the daily average rating, which is exactly the same metric, but aggregated over a daily basis. And this gives you a much more granular information about how on each day users are rating your application. And again, if you have, depending on how many users you have, you may have various granularity of information that shows you on a particular day what is the average rating that your application got. And this gives you a much more detailed information. For example, when you want to closely track how a new launch is happening, how a new launch is going. And as usual, you can always export this metric, just like all the others. So if you want to do your own custom aggregations on your side, maybe by merging together other data sources, you can get a full breakdown in CSV format as well. So you can proceed from that.
It's absolutely excellent. I didn't know the ratings trending existed inside the reporting. Has that been in the stats since the new stats went live?
No, this is actually a launch with last Monday with the new developer console preview. So,
well, I'm sure I'll make use of that. I'm working on an update to the Ultimate Stopwatch anyway. So when it goes live, we'll be able to see the trending up as Marie's graphics
I
go
was
in.
noticing on your stats actually that for your latest version, that had an actually better user rating than the other versions. I'm not sure if you knew that, but your update really was an update. It was a good update.
And I know you're working on tablet support, so you can see which devices are rating it higher if the tablets are now liking it more.
We'll be able to see.
That's true. You can see
Filter
if
on
the Nexus 7 users are enjoying that
That's
one.
brilliant.
And in this case, you may should work on localization for Portuguese.
They're not very happy.
Not
Can you
happy.
just do that for me now? Just press the...
I don't know. I can help you
Portuguese.
with German.
No, the automatic translation.
Oh,
The
yeah,
automated
that's right.
translations
That's
are
right.
just for the store listing. That's
Sure.
not actually for the application.
Well, the app doesn't really have any strings.
Well,
Yeah.
or maybe Portuguese users are just more unhappy than the Dutch users. I'm not
True.
sure.
Talking about rating in reviews, actually, forgot to show that page as well to give you an overview about the ratings. But as we just encountered, the great overview and the details are on the statistics page. In-app products are now also part of the developer console. Some of you had early access, but that's now as well live. So if you want to add a new product, there's a typo. Want to fix that because you can't do it otherwise afterwards. Manage product. And again, it looks pretty similar to the store listing page for your main app. We do not want to confuse you with too many different widgets and so on. So you can add all of your information here as you're used to from your store listing. Obviously, just what is required for in-app products, and easy. Just do the auto convert. You may want to check the detail prices because I guess in euro maybe 249 sounds a bit better, but again, I want to give you the tools so you can do everything easily. We always try. It's sometimes a bit difficult, but we always try. We know they're like these. Some of you developers are, you have full-time jobs and you love to develop for Android and do that on the side, and we try to support you in the same way as we do it for big developers. So but as we said, we're happy to get some feedback today from all backgrounds of developers. So let us know if you have any wishes or ideas, and we're more than happy to discuss that and and maybe even do it in the end. We have also the service and APIs here. If you, for instance, use Google Cloud Messaging, you can configure that here. And I think that's basically from my side. I'm not sure, Ricardo, is there anything else?
Really? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, we hope you'll give it a try. And one other thing to point out, if you haven't noticed it, is the gigantic orange link that say "Give us feedback" in the upper right-hand corner. We read all that feedback personally, and although we're not able to respond to every message that we get, we do keep it all in mind when we're planning future updates. So please click on it, let us know what you think, and tell your friends.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Excellent. Yeah, some good stats, and the fact that I learned something is also kind of handy too. Is the trending ratings the only new statistic? Is there anything else I would have missed?
No, those are the new ones that we launched with the open preview. So we definitely see that as a great way to identify opportunities to improve your app, and to also see every time you release a new version, did it actually improve what your users think about you?
Hopefully it does.
That's
A
always the
wasted
goal.
update. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Do
We're
you
still
wanna
locked
leave
onto
my-
Oh yeah.
Max's
I
laptop.
leave it on. Maybe want to switch back, but I think we can.
Okay. Hello, everybody. So we have some questions in the moderator, but if you're thinking of joining the Hangout and asking the team something live, now's a good time to jump in, and we'll get you lined up to ask the questions. Also, you can comment on the G+ post for this Hangout, and we'll be reading those as well. So, do we have something from the moderator?
Yeah, I can dive into the moderator questions. Will it be well? Before we go into the questions, I think it's best to reiterate, as we always say on our developer hangouts, that we're going to be talking. We're not going to be making any product announcements here. We're going to be discussing your comments and feedback. But any questions of when will X launch, when will I get feature Y, that we're not going to be able to talk about, I'm afraid. So I think the best way to direct the conversation is to give us like constructive feedback of what you like and what you would like to see more of from the team. But asking for launch dates, not so much. So with that in mind, when will it be possible to moderate comments on applications is, I guess, one of these forward-looking statements we're not going to really get into. What have we said?
Well, I guess what we can say so far is that we realized that this was a really important feature for developers, so we wanted to get it out there as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
We've definitely heard very strong feedback from a lot of developers who don't have access yet that they do want to have access. So we hear that you want to have the access, but we're still trying to make sure that the feature is working exactly as it should for developers and users. And hopefully we'll be able to roll it out more in the future. But as Nick mentioned, we can't really make any announcements in this meeting.
So the next question is again asking for when will X happen, but I'm going to rephrase it into feedback.
Great.
So Cyril in France asks. He says that his screenshots and feature promo graphics at the moment come out slightly blurry due to compression. So I'm going to rephrase that to, are we aware of this, and are we looking into this issue?
Yes, we are. So we're aware that in the process, in some cases, the screenshot may be resized in a way.
So we compress it on our end to save space.
Yeah, we do some optimizations for serving as well, and so yes, we are aware of that.
Okay, so watch this space essentially.
Okay. We've got someone joined us in the Hangout.
Just one small thing. You said that you posted on the YouTube channel to go to the link in the description. There's no link in the description. I was trying to put something in the moderator, but I don't have a link in the description.
Apparently, if you try hitting refresh.
I've closed the page and reloaded it. Still nothing.
All right, let me take a look. I'll try to fix that for you.
We've got Dan Pham, engineer extraordinaire from the Mountain View office, has kindly dialed in live. You might have seen his face appear in the bottom corner, so hopefully we can get that sorted out for you pretty instantly.
Next question from the moderator. Oren in Israel asks, how can I delete or hide and unpublish an app?
Well, that is something that has gotten nearly as many requests as being able to reply to reviews. I think it's something that we're looking into. Nothing to announce at this point, but thanks for that feedback. We've definitely heard from developers that they want a way to kind of declutter their interface. Some people only have 1 or 2 apps and they don't have this problem, but some people have all sorts of apps, and then at some point they decide that they don't want to maintain that app anymore, or they've created it by accident and they'd like to remove it. So yeah, thanks for that feedback.
Am I right in thinking you can delete an app if it's never been published? Or is that...
Not in the new site.
Interesting.
It hasn't been implemented yet. Like I said, totally not finished yet. This is one of the things we haven't implemented.
So the thing
yet,
to do would be to create a second Android Developer Console account and then use the app transfer to transfer all your apps.
No,
Just
I don't think
ignore
so.
it. Just ignore it for now.
I wouldn't go
Sorry,
there.
it's a bit cluttered.
Yeah, it'll sort itself out. Yeah, add blindness for the apps that you have.
The next question, so Nikolay in Tokyo, he's asking, are there any plans to publish an API for app statistics? So I guess we're not going to kind of comment on future plans and so on, but I guess we're going to feed that into feedback that he would love to see some statistics API. So I guess that would be nice for automating your own reporting mechanisms. So.
Yeah, definitely. I guess in the meantime, you can use the CSV export, but thanks for that feedback.
Yeah, so we have heard that feedback, I think, more than once already.
Many times, yeah.
CSV is obviously, is not as powerful as an API, but it's the easiest form to get access to those data. And it's a bit hard to discover, but CSV also include more complete breakdown than the other metrics. Sorry, the user interface. In the user interface, you see only the top 10, but if you get the CSV, for example, you get the full list of devices if you're looking at the device dimension. And so you can do more complete analysis by using that.
So definitely worth going into that CSV if you haven't tried it yet.
But
rather than just relying on the top 10 graphs.
We've heard the request about more complete APIs.
Cool, awesome. Next request is that obviously user X is loving the new Dev Console so much he wants it to stick, the choice to be sticky rather than having to opt in every time.
Sorry, the what?
When he switched to try the new Dev Console, he says he has to check it every time.
Yes, that's correct. It's not sticky yet.
Not sticky yet.
We're putting a bookmark to the new one. I think you can.
There's a V2 link.
It's a different URL. So
there you go.
So you can just change your
bookmark it for now.
Change your bookmarks. There we go.
Also, Oren, about deleting apps from your account. I just had an idea that you could just rename the apps that you don't like to ZZZ, and they'll just go down to the bottom of the list. So I've just been into my account and renamed the apps that I didn't want to see there, and they've all gone straight to the bottom of the list.
Put a little tilde or something next to it.
Yeah. So at least you don't have to look at them anymore, even if they're just at the bottom of the page. No more.
That's a good idea.
Does the new console have a limit of the number of apps that appear on the front page before it starts paging? Or just
50 per page at the moment.
50 per page. Yeah.
Those more.
We did a few estimations of the average number of applications. That seems to be a good compromise between the different different usages.
Find them quickly without paging.
Yeah, most of the time get everything in one page. Before it was 8 applications per page, and it was just nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Someone else has joined us in the Hangout. It is Sunil. Sunil, do you have any questions for the Developer Console team?
Hello.
Hello. You're very quiet.
Hello.
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 I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question regarding Android. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Please go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah. I want to know that how far it is secure using Android apps.
How secure is it to use Android apps? Okay, so I don't think that's really a question for the Android publisher site. Can you perhaps come back into our office hours we have on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. GMT and ask the question there? We're going to focus on the Developer Console for this session. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, man. Cheers.
Okay. Back into the moderator. So there's a feature request here that Ashley in London would like to see us order comments on devices by those comments left by people on the same device. So feedback, I guess, for the Google Play client team rather than for the Developer Console team.
Sorry, what was it? Was it being able to...
They'd like to see comments from when they're looking at an application on device in the Google Play Store to see comments weighted by or ranked by users of the same device.
That's an interesting piece of feedback.
Isn't that like that already in the mobile client? You can see
what device it came from.
From my device, you can see something.
There is a filter in there.
Yeah, it's hard to find, but I think it does exist.
Maybe it already exists.
In the web version, you're saying, or
in the
No, in
mobile
the
version
device
for sure you can say
When you're
from my
looking at
device or
ratings, there
something
are-
like that. Reviews from my device or something.
but it's not the
In
default.
the
You have
web
to choose it.
version, not so sure.
What's new?
You have to click on reviews first.
See all reviews. Most helpful first. Highest rating, newest options. From my device model only.
Yeah.
So whoever asked that question?
Ashley in London.
Ashley in London,
Can do
there's
it.
an option, not that you're going to be able to see this, just on the right hand side of the ratings, and you can press it and choose from my device model only. Excellent.
I didn't know that. Next question, Andy in Brooklyn in USA asks, are you planning an API to facilitate automated or at least more streamlined publishing and updating? So I guess we can't say,
Mhm.
"Oh, we're going to do it," or "Are we going to launch it?" or whatever. But
Yeah.
is it feedback you've heard? Is it
We've
something
definitely heard it
direction you're
before.
interested in?
I think for developers who have larger numbers of applications, some of them have definitely requested this.
My problem with such things is that I can see people using it to publish to multiple places at once, in which case you get to the lowest common denominator approach, where they're not taking
Yeah.
advantage of things like the string translation and so on and so forth that other storefronts might not offer. So
It may be helpful depending if you have customized build tools or workflows, at which point to publish is just at the end of your chain. But yeah, there might be that issue.
Quite an interesting comment from Daniel Baines on the G+ post.
Yeah.
One that I haven't thought about before, but may not be too tricky. It's about promoting your applications.
Mhm.
At the moment, we give people access to the Google Play branding and the little button so they can embed it in their website. But he's asking for an embeddable widget that he can put in his website where it will list his applications on the
okay.
Play Store in a nice
Ah.
format with the ratings that they have and just let people click straight through and
Cool.
buy them.
Oh, thanks for that idea.
Thank you, Daniel.
that is cool.
Well, anything to help promote, right?
Yeah.
It'd be quite cool to have a badge because we only have the badge generators for individual apps at the moment, don't we? We don't have one for the publisher page as well, which would be
Yeah.
quite cool. Like,
For all your apps and for
maybe I'll
Stick
find
it
a
on your
future
blog.
request.
Cool.
drive traffic around.
Okay. So Cyril, again in France, asks, there's currently no way to prepare a full release. You can upload an APK, but all of the extra information, description, screenshot, etc., are not part of a release. As a result, APK and information are currently made available independently. He asks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is true for. So at the moment after you're published, right, then you edit basically each part of the application independently. But until the moment you're published, you're free to modify and add information as soon as you gather them. So you can start by saying, I'm putting in the store listing or a screenshot because that's what my designer gave me first. And when the APK is ready, you can add that in the second moment. Until the moment of your first publishing time, you're free to assemble your application in bits and pieces.
So I guess he's asking for a way to tie the description and everything to
Right.
a particular release rather than
Oh,
having
okay.
a
Definitely.
universal.
Yeah, we've definitely had some developers ask for that because they want to be able to do exactly what he's talking about, kind of prepare everything, and then at one moment kind of release it as a unit. So we've definitely heard that.
It's basically what we offer already for new apps, but as you say, once they're published, then you're unfortunately losing that possibility of editing on the fly without publishing. But yeah, probably.
I know when you upload a new application, it can take a couple of hours to get propagated through to people to see it. If you make content description changes at the same time as uploading, do the description changes go live at a different time to the APK? Or does it all happen at the same
That's a
time?
good question.
I think they are faster.
Because they don't
Yeah,
have to get
there's a
malware checked.
there's a bit of caching and optimizations involved in the pipeline through which, from the moment you submit something to the moment it gets live, and that's also something to. I'm not sure into how much detail I can go, but it's there are different
Don't go
routes
too
that
far.
different bits of information take before they go live.
Interesting.
There's another request here on the moderator. So Lucas, is that Lucas Rocker? I think?
Lucas has joined us here as well.
Do you want to ask your question live?
Yeah.
Hi, Lucas. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
And congratulations. Leave
I
your-
added the
your-
question, but I thought it would be nicer to ask personally.
Great.
Please do.
So I know there's something in Google Play for tracking campaigns and all, so you can know where your new installs are coming from. But that involves changes in the app and all. And for indie developers that don't have a lot of infrastructure, that's kind of you need to send this to some server, so it's more work when you don't have time or resources to do it. So it would be really nice if there was some sort of super simple mechanism to track where the new installs are coming from. It could be things like just for a start, tracking what keywords, search what keywords trigger new installs inside the client, so either web or on desktop or the mobile app on the Android device. That's one. Let's see, maybe which page opened Google Play to install the new app. So that's nice for if you have a landing page, then if you're triggering new installs from there, you have some sort of way to gauge that. So that's another one. anyway, just a few ideas. But having a simpler version of tracking referrers on Google Play would be useful, especially for people who don't have a lot of infrastructure.
And so this would be like something even simpler than integrating Google Analytics. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yes-ish. Yeah, the thing is, like, so just my personal take on that. Like, I usually try to avoid adding Google Analytics if I don't have a very strong reason for doing that. Like, if I can have just a simple way to track where people are finding the app and installing it, that's fine. Because Google Analytics adds like takes bandwidth and like a lot of data connection costs involved for users. So if I can avoid that, I prefer to not add that. So.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just maybe a simple mechanism to track where the install came from, like, and if you want to go further and adding your own infrastructure for server side or even Google Analytics, that's another step.
Yeah, it's a good idea. For those who don't know what Lucas was referring to, there is a method at the moment for tracking install refers. If you Google for Android install referrer, you'll find a way you can pass particular kind of campaign IDs all the way through, so you can track the effectiveness. But yeah, I agree. There's some work to be done there, and maybe there's a better way to automatically surface this stuff. So thanks for the feedback. Okay. So next question is Daniel in London. Is that you, Daniel? No. Will it be possible in the future for a developer page to show developer details and perhaps even integrate with their Google Plus account? So that's a good idea. Thank you for the feature suggestion. That'll be quite cool because at the moment, if you go to a developer's page, you just see the list of their application. So it might be nice to have some below up there. So
yeah,
cool. Thanks for the request. Feedback.
We've got another one in the G+ stream from Philip Lenson, who says he would like to be able to be able to click on the headers of the all applications section to reorder the listings. To go for the app with the most downloads, with the most money, all those things.
Okay, thanks for that.
Makes sense.
Thanks, Philip. Any more moderators?
Yeah, the last one is saying, any plans for better support for ProGuard and to easier read your stack traces when they've been ProGuarded?
For native crashes?
Yeah, well, no, just ProGuarded normal files. If you upload your mapping file for the APK, so you can decode the stack traces. Yeah, native is another kettle of fish, but but yeah, thanks for the feedback. Like we say, we're not going to comment on if it's coming or not, but thank you for the request. I think we've exhausted the
yeah, we're
great.
Running low on questions now, so we'll wrap it up a little bit. But if Adir there, who's just joined us again, has another question for us, please.
Yeah, I wrote it on the moderator, but you say that one was the last one, so I don't know. Maybe it doesn't record mine. I wanted to ask if there will be a way to reply for users, not developers, to reply like the developers can reply. I mean, when in an app, there are many apps in Google Play that the creator, the developer have sort of abandoned, and many people with questions there. Understand what I'm saying? So they ask question and there's no way to reply for them. So
you want to, as a user, reply to another user's comment?
Yeah, because you can see, for example, ADW launcher. It seems like the developer completely neglects it, and there are a ton of people with questions there, and no one can answer them.
Sort of a self-support forum for users of a given app.
Yeah. Huh. I hadn't heard that request before. That's interesting.
Almost turns into a comments thread instead of
more of a forum.
Yeah, just like YouTube, for example. Like you have replies, comments.
I'm not sure that's an example we want to emulate. But, thank you for the feedback.
Are you checking the YouTube comments, Daniel? Anything? Any good questions coming through?
There are many questions, but none of them are related.
Damn it! I wanted to be first. And if any of you are wondering throughout this hangout why mine and Nick's heads are so much bigger than everyone else's, it's because they're actually beamed in from another studio, and there's a green screen here, and we're just superimposing. So it's just been faked interactions, or we've just got big. With the it's the green screen thing. It's fine.
A question that's not exactly related, if you don't mind. It's about the market, the play, but not the
drink.
The specific developers. in the market, there was a way to download more than one app.
Yeah.
Since you update it to Play, it downloads one at a time. So if you're downloading like a 1 gigabyte, it takes forever, and the other one don't download until the first one's finished.
It's interesting. I hadn't noticed that had switched over. You mean before? Do you know how many would download at a time before? Was it just 2 at a time, or you think?
No, indefinitely. I have like 50 updates. I do update all, and they all download at once.
And now it's done serially instead of parallel, right? Now they're all done serially. Serially? Easy for me to say. Instead of in parallel.
They were doing it together, simultaneously, but slower speed. But in general, overall, it was faster than just one at a time.
I guess the problem with that is you end up, as I don't know what the actual problem was, but you could end up with 5 apps finishing at the same time and then trying to install. So the installer still has to stack them one after the other because you can only be installing one app at a time. But I didn't know that had happened.
It used to be one of the up points against iOS that I used to use for people. But now iOS...
I just hit update all and hit
just
home.
wait for it to...
Yeah, I hit update all before I go to sleep.
Yeah, because now iOS does have this ability and Android does not, so it's kind of annoying.
Well, you're going to be limited by your download bandwidth probably anyway, right?
It doesn't really matter, because, for example, me, I have 100 megabits per second. So...
Good for you.
Nothing's going to slow it down.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I understand. It probably doesn't take much.
You guys are going to give us 1 gigabit sometime soon.
If you're in Kansas.
Yeah.
Only in Kansas.
3 clicks and...
Yeah, eventually we'll reach worldwide, I hope.
Triple tap on home. All right. Well, I'd like to thank the Kopetka Google Play Developer Console Preview team for joining us from wherever they're sat. I don't know where that is. In a magical office somewhere. And thank you for all your questions. We'll see you Wednesday, 2 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. CET for our office hours.
So join me and Roman Urich tomorrow for Android Design in Action for talking about all your Android design needs.
Please do. Android design is very important to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thanks and bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.